So here's an exercise you can do with each of the four suits. You can do it with more than each of the four suits, but let me explain it that way so you get what I'm talking about first. So there is a couple of different ways you can read tarot cards. One of the ways is to simply describe what is on the card. And you would be surprised how often when you just talk about what's actually pictured on the card, it will correspond with the question and what the person's asking about. So for example, I can go through this. This happens to be the suit of fire or wands from the Guy in Tarot. So I can go, there's a snake hatching from an egg. There's fire in the background. Two people are dancing toe to toe and they're carrying torches.
There is a woman in the sky and she seems to be kind of dancing and there are three lights around her. There is a woman who is in the desert standing inside of looks like a sacred circle, and she is holding the space as the full moon is behind her. A fire breather is breathing fire into the air, and the fire is very dramatic.
You get the picture. So what you can do is you can just go through the suits and just do that for each one of the cards. And then you can sit and you can go, oh, I'm out of order here. I was like, what? I looked at that. I was like, something's wrong. Okay. So then what you can do is you can try to storyboard this. So when you storyboard, this is like when you read comic books or graphic novels, there are frames that are pictures, and the story is told by moving from frame to frame to frame to frame. So this develops your storytelling skill. Once it acquaints you with the suit itself, but also develops your storytelling skill and your ability to connect cards to one another. So the next step, after you just simply talk about what's happening on each card, is to try to weave a story moving from the ace all the way to the 10. So what I could do here is I could say, okay, so an example of how we might weave a story, and believe me, there's a million different ways. Just kind of pretend you're telling a story to a child, a bedtime story, and be as outrageous as you want. There's no rules to this. Nobody's saying anything is right or wrong. So just let it go. Let it go and tell a story. So I'm going to do mine here. I'm going to start here with the ace, and I'm going to go, sneaky snake who drinks root beer went to the fire festival. Now, I'm calling him Sneaky Snake because I'm very auditory, and when I saw this snake, I was thinking of this song, Sneaky Snake drinks root beer, a wiggling and a hissing. That was from my childhood, but that's where Sneaky Snake came from. And Sneaky Snake went to the fire festival, and he saw these two people who kind of pulled away, these two fire dancers, and they pulled away from the festivities to do a dance of their own. Ooh la la. This festival was taking place in Marfa, Texas, beneath the Marfa lights. And I say that because this card always reminds me of the Marfa lights. I used to live out there in West Texas, in the Big Bend area, so I know about the Marfa, and this just reminds me of the Marfa lights. So that's where that's what I'm saying. It's highly personal. It's going to be different for everybody. But I'm saying, yeah, there's the Marfa lights. I remember the Marfa lights. So this festival is taking place at near the Marfa lights. Meanwhile, there is a lady out in Arizona who has created a sacred circle, and she's doing a ceremony underneath the full moon. And what she's trying to do is to raise a cone of power so that she can work some magic. Meanwhile, back at the fire festival, the festivities are going strong. There are lots of fire dancers. There are lots of fire swallowers. There are lots of fire activities going on. It's going strong. It's a lot of things happening, a lot of things to look at. This dancer here at this section is really engaging with the audience, and she's weaving her dance between everyone and just pulling all the fire through her and letting it pass through to all the people that are there at the fire festival. Meanwhile, in another neck of the woods, we have this lady, I'm going to call her Jan, who is a blacksmith, and she's working outside of her tiny house at her blacksmith forge to put together the ironworks that she's going to sell later. And she wants to be done quickly because tonight there is a meteor shower. And she really wants to see the bright lights streak through the sky and be inspired by nature. And when she does watch the meteor streak through the sky, all that power from the universe connects to her, and she feels at one. And little do we know, off in the corner to the west, a forest fire has started. Doo-doo-doo. So that's just my example of how I might put a story together. What's yours? Feel free to post that in the comments.